The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
PodcastOne.com presents the Ask Women Podcast. A place where two comics and a professional wing girl get together to dissect the female mind.
You don't know how I feel.
And explain it to men in terms they can actually understand. Boobs. Now, here's the lovely ladies of Ask Women.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Ask Women Podcast, where you get real advice straight from the source. I'm your host, Kristen Carney, or one of your hosts, Kristen Carney, a comedian, lovely human being, along with, of course, another lovely human being, Marni Kinrys, best-selling author and relationship expert.
Yes, that's me.
And a horrible human being named Mo.
Horrible.
Can I tell you something really cool?
Yes.
Okay.
But I have to tell you something right after.
Okay. Well, do you want to go first?
No, you go.
Okay. Obviously, I'm going to take
Yours
it.
is probably cooler.
Well, it's not. It's cool for me, maybe not cool for you. But yesterday, one of my friends who is beautiful.
Now, for the readers, is this a beautiful on the inside friend?
No, this is a beautiful on the outside friend
okay.
and beautiful on the inside. So she texted me yesterday, and she said, it's so funny. I was out with one of my guy friends, and he was telling me about this amazing book that he just read. And she goes, it was
The
yours.
Bible.
No, and you wrote it.
Oh, wow.
I've only written one book.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
That's awesome.
I was like, he was telling you that he was reading the book. But like, she's
That's
like,
funny,
how
yeah.
random is this? She's like, this guy's from New York. He has no way of knowing who you are. He's my friend. And he said, I'm reading this amazing book right now that's changing my life. And
That's awesome.
I know. So I felt amazing.
Yeah.
I had a huge smile on my face.
Did she feel obligated to give him a blowjob?
Yeah, of course.
She's like, well, the book is Get Inside Me, so...
It's
or Get Inside Her, so I guess I gotta let him
and
inside.
I have to support Marnie.
But
Gotta
she also
support
knew
Marnie.
it wasn't literal.
Right. So
Yeah,
let's
but
get inside
Mo
her
would think
mind.
If she was a real friend, she would have hooked up
She
with
would,
the guy.
because then it proves everything I'm saying. That's a supportive
Exactly.
friend. Anybody who wouldn't do that is just
That
horrible.
sells books.
And I would cut them out of my
This
life.
is why I'm not friends with anybody.
Yeah, you're like, so there's no obligations for you?
None.
To have sex with
Sex,
weird
moving, airport rides, nothing. Nothing to it.
But anyway, that made me feel really good after
That's
being
awesome.
sick all week. So that was very, very nice to hear that. And fantastic.
Yeah.
So what's your news?
Yeah.
What's your story?
Not as cool as that. Not even close. I just wanted to redeem myself from the car story that I told a few weeks
Really?
ago. Yeah, today because
I thought
I'm a
people
very
said
friendly.
you were really cool for
They were.
this.
They did because
Someone
they're
sent me
smart
a
and
thing
awesome.
on Facebook about that, too.
Remind
Really?
everybody the car story, just for people.
Yes,
who didn't
Okay,
Exactly.
so for people who haven't listened, because you're obviously a dummy for not listening, I had a run-in in San Diego in traffic where I was in the car for like 8 hours, and this guy was like essentially harassing me after he wouldn't let me into traffic, and I just forced my way in because I was desperate and I didn't want to turn into the wrong lane.
Getting so heated.
Yeah, and then I ended up punching his window.
Long story short, you
Long
end up
story
following the guy and then
Long-
punching
no,
his window.
No, he followed me.
Okay.
He was literally following me. I let him go around me, and then he basically started screaming at me. That's when I got out of the car. Mo. Don't mess with me on this because I
My bad,
get
my
serious.
bad.
But anyway, the thing is, I'm a really friendly driver, and that's why I was
Obviously.
pissed because I'm overly friendly.
Yes, obviously she's a really
And I
Listen
don't
to her.
punching windows.
Mo, fuck off, okay?
She's gonna punch you
No,
in
seriously,
the head.
because I am the friendly driver, and this guy was the douche, and I don't like the fact that. Well, you're a douche, so you obviously would side with him.
I side with him.
But anyway, today I was letting essentially this woman turn into traffic because she was so desperate. She was trying to make a left-hand turn, and so I let her
so you
go.
were doing unto others.
Yes, as I normally do.
Right.
And this was when we were pulling into a Starbucks. And so anyway, I let her go, and she waved and was like, thank you. And I was like, you're welcome, no worries. I didn't even think about it. And I was like waiting in line for my coffee because I went through the drive-thru and she was in front of me. And then they handed me my coffee, and they were like, she bought that for you.
No way.
And I was like, oh, how sweet. Someone appreciates
oh my God, that is
Wow.
so
nice
nice
drivers. Yeah.
That's a good follow-up story. That's a really good story.
Yeah, I wanted to redeem myself. And then I do want to say one thing in terms of driving etiquette, and then we'll get into like the meat of the shit that you guys are actually wanting to listen for.
Yeah.
When you're in traffic and then you're stuck behind, say, like a bus, and there's like a line of like 4 cars that are all stuck behind the bus, and then everyone goes behind, like when the people at the end of that line stuck behind the bus all go out around
Yeah.
the people. You should let the people in front of you go, so you guys all go in one line rather than
But
everyone
that's
from
hard to
behind
coordinate.
cutting
I
you.
always think that too. It's hard.
I coordinate it because I force it. I'm like, no, I'm letting all these people go.
Kristen is running the streets
5
of
people
Los
just went in
Angeles.
traffic, so.
Well, actually, I want to keep on car etiquette for one more second
Okay,
because
I'm
I want
down.
to talk about a big turnoff for me. When I first started dating my husband, a huge turnoff for me was his road rage. I didn't
Yeah.
like it. I can't stand it, actually. Because I think, to be honest, when people, including my husband, have emotional tantrums that just pop up, I automatically think weakness. That may just be me. I don't know if other
No, it
people
grosses
do
me
as well.
out.
Does it?
When my boyfriend does it, and it's funny because I'll have it, and I'm like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. And he's just like sitting in the car, but then he's driving. He's like, fuck you. I'm like, can you please like be a little logical right now?
I take it back. Because you want them to be like calm, cool, and
Yes,
collected.
it's like gross.
I
think it's grosser
huge
for
turn
dudes.
off. It's a huge turn off.
You definitely don't have road rage when you're on a date. That is because you're sitting there in the car. You're like, you motherfucker.
I had one-
I'm so upset.
I
and
had
it
one
scares
date
my girl.
where there was road rage involved. I never talked to the guy again.
Really?
He
The first
cut
date?
off. It was maybe like the second we went to, like, we were young. We were like 20 or whatever.
It's probably just showing off then.
Yeah, but he had like a shitty car, and it's like, whatever if you have a shitty car, but don't try to look like a hot shot like in a shitty car. Be humble, you know what I mean? But he cut off these old people, and then he flipped them off, and I was like, all right.
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
Yeah,
guy
and he
again.
left a shitty tip. So I was like, this guy's the
you're
biggest
gonna
douche
love
ever.
this. One of our listeners, Joe Davies, contacted me on Facebook just to tell me.
I think I got a friend request from someone named Joe Davies.
He contacted me on Facebook just to tell me that you were right and that you were not in the
There you
wrong
go.
for stalking this person and that men are crazier drivers than females.
Yeah,
And-
Joe Davies.
And women just... I made the excuse that women just takes things way too
Why would
personally.
this man write this to you? You clearly don't understand
know.
like any sort of logical
He's
thinking.
like, screw you, Joe.
I don't know. I unfriended Joe Davies.
No, you accepted, and I'm glad you told me. That
That's
makes my
so
day.
nice.
Yeah, because guys can bully women, and honestly, I've been in a couple situations where, like, one time I was on the 405 freeway, and I was in there's like 4 lanes, and I wasn't in the passing lane, but I wasn't in the slowest lane, and this guy in a truck, I had like a little Jetta, and this guy in a truck was on my tail, like just to be a dick, and like there was
Right.
nowhere it wasn't like I was taking up a fast lane or anything. I was moving right along, and he was just tailgating me and like just for the sake of it. And it was like he went around me and like revved his engine, and I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? Like,
get it.
stop being.
We should have a
so
segment with you
pathetic.
called like Kristen's Freeway Moment or
Yeah.
something. I don't know. Just so you can bitch and complain, get it out.
It
and
should
then
be called
help others.
Kristen's potential suicide moment.
Right.
That's what
That
it
would
should
be another
called.
alternative name.
Yeah.
So a couple of weeks ago, we had asked you guys if you wanted to, or you wanted us to do 2 episodes a week, and we got a lot of responses from
did.
people.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys have said yes. So now we have to run it up the ladder. Even though Podcast One was the people who started this and asked us to do it, now they have to think about it. So this is just how things work. So now they have to think about whether we should do another podcast. But thank you so much for writing in for your support. That is awesome and wonderful, and so nice to hear that you want to hear us twice a week. Because I would think you'd be sick of us after once a week.
I'm sick
like
of
once
us.
a week. Me too. I'm
Yeah,
done now.
I just
can't
want to
even- I'm over
do
it.
all. I'm excited because I just want to get to our listeners' questions.
Yeah, I know.
There's a
That's the
ton
only
of
thing.
great
We just talk
questions.
too much about cars and
Yeah.
traffic and people on our butts. in a
Well,
car.
let me just say this: we have Shy Love coming up in the second half of the show, who is an ex-porn star.
Yes. But now a
I love
publisher.
this.
But now a publisher and
Yes.
probably a doctor and a philanthropist. I'm
sure. Exactly.
I'm kind of being
Maybe a
sarcastic,
queen.
but I'm glad she's coming. Yes, and a queen. She's written 2 books, one on how to pick up women and one on how to pick up men. So her information will be helpful to everyone.
Everybody.
But apparently, I was going to say Ed.
Like,
feel
almost
like
Ed.
I've-
Ed, if you're listening, this will be for you.
If your name's Ed, you probably need help. Listen in.
I feel like her opening line to pick up a man or woman is, "Hi, I'm a porn star."
Is that really the thing that you should lead off
No,
with?
Yeah.
that's a
No,
That's
do you
gonna
not
get
understand
you
women
laid.
at all? What's wrong with
Do you not understand men at all?
That's not what we're
all of a
trying
sudden, a
to
girl
do.
comes in and goes,
Well, we
"I'm a
said
porn star,"
diet.
and she looks good. I'm like, she can do things.
We said dial down the
She can
douche.
do
We
things.
said dial down the douche.
Yeah, remember we made that request.
I know,
This is
but
just
I'm being
him
honest.
being him.
I'm just being honest.
But the thing is like, okay, not that I've worked with a lot of porn stars, or maybe I have, but I've interviewed a lot of porn stars, and actually both of my publicists that I've had in the past always represented a lot of porn stars, and actually the one that's coming today, we share a publicist.
Oh, cool.
But so I've talked to a lot of porn stars, and that's their one hurdle that they have difficulty with is that men want to date porn stars. So in the very beginning, they're excited about dating a porn star, and they sort of like see past her sometimes, which is what happens with celebrities or really beautiful women too. And then after they get excited about dating a porn star, they get really pissed off about dating a porn star because she's a porn star
Yeah.
and she's having sex with other guys.
Yeah.
So they do have difficulty with finding connections and finding love. It is really challenging for them, and they have some really sad stories. Not all of them, but a lot of them have really sad stories.
And it's all
when
mostly
dating men.
from their vaginas.
Right, exactly.
Their vaginas tell the story.
Yes, that's how they tell it.
Story time with their vagina.
or does it sound like a woman who smoked? Like, God.
Yeah.
I've seen some tough days.
Smoke too many menthols.
Gross. That's disgusting.
Wait, are Jews in porn? I don't know.
Jews in porn?
I don't know. Don't Jews smoke menthols? I don't know.
I don't know. I used to smoke
No, they
menthols,
don't. This is getting
though.
weird. Really?
I used to. Only because I liked mint a lot.
Oh, that's
and I liked
funny.
it because it lasted on your I don't even know, but I didn't do it for very long. But yeah, I did like menthols. I don't think it's a Jewish thing, though.
There's one that Jews smoke.
Is
anyway.
there?
Anyways, man's
what that is.
playbook.
Seriously.
Man's playbook.
Okay, so this week I wanted to talk to you guys about stereotypes. Actually, hold on, let me just close this page down. Who wrote this? Oh no, I didn't write down who wrote it. It was somebody,
on Facebook,
it was somebody
right?
on Twitter, actually.
Or Twitter, yeah.
It said, in your book you talk about the stroke you had. As a guy in a wheelchair, you should do a podcast on getting past the stereotype. So I had a stroke when I was 20 years old, and that it honestly did leave me very self-conscious. One half of my body was not working as fast as the other half. Like, I was in college at the time, and I used to be a dancer when I was younger, and I just stopped dancing because literally I would just spin in circles because one side wouldn't be able to keep up.
I feel like if I had a
left.
stroke, it would just even my body out.
Yeah.
I already feel like that
So you'd be
anyway. My
perfect.
left side's so bad, it would just bring my right down to my left side.
Yeah. Well, so he was saying like having to deal with stereotypes, and stereotypes aren't just for people who have strokes or who are in wheelchairs or who have some sort of disorder. There's lots of stereotypes out there for short people,
Bald guys.
Yeah, for bald guys,
Yeah.
exactly. But I did want to tell one story about this guy who has written to me recently. He's somebody that I work with, but he's in a wheelchair, and I forget what it's called that he has, but it's something that he got later in life, but it's affecting his speech. So he actually can't really talk. He kind of mumbles, and he's in a wheelchair, and it's hard for him to communicate. But he is the most fantastic writer in the entire world. Like, he is just like one of the most succinct and clear and passionate men through writing, and I liked him instantly through his written word. But he was talking about dating and how, people, well, actually, he wasn't talking about how people can have stereotypes, but he was talking about certain girls that he would interact with and like what he should reveal, what he shouldn't reveal. And I have a really good friend named Sean Stevenson, who is a motivational speaker, is in a wheelchair. He's 3 feet tall, has brittle bone disease. And one thing that he said to me about dating that he realized once he turned like 29 years old is that he said, I'm going to put who I am out there, and I know that I'm not for everybody, because the lifestyle you would have with me is hard. You are a caregiver. Yes, you get great sex and you get a great personality. Like he has this great personality. And he's like, you get all of these things, but it also is a change in lifestyle, and it's a switch in expectations about what people picture for their ideal future. And it's not the same as being with somebody who's bald. It is different going up. Well, maybe.
They have some disabilities.
Yeah. But
They're not allowed in a lot of stores, actually.
That's true.
Clothing stores.
But it is like big. And so he said,
Yeah.
when girls would pick him up for dates, he would make them pick him up for dates, and he would make them help him get his wheelchair. He would make them help him get his car seat, put him in the car. He wanted to show them what life would be like with him. And he wouldn't be like, mopey as they were doing it. He would be himself and wonderful. But if they couldn't hack it, he didn't take it personally, because he knew that he was awesome and wonderful, but there are challenges.
There's got to be like a website called like selflesswomen.com where they can go and hook up with these women, because someone like me, I'm actually dreading doing this episode because I'm so afraid to tiptoe around and just not.
You're going to be really horrible. And mean.
No,
Yeah,
I
you're
don't
gonna
want
make
to
fun of bald guys and how they can't get.
No, I can
installed.
make fun
Wheelchairs.
of. I
Good,
can make
maybe
fun
I
of bald guys. I don't want to make fun of the wheelchairs and stuff, but it's a really tricky territory for me because I've never dealt with it before. So
Right.
for me, it's intimidating and scary.
Yeah. Well, would you ever date a guy in a wheelchair?
It depends on his personality.
Yeah.
I basically would say, like, I'll just ball up and be a man and say probably not. I can barely be with my boyfriend who just is lazy and doesn't want to, like, do anything on the weekend. So,
Right.
I'm sure there's things they want to, that people in
Oh, this
wheelchairs
guy is
wanna
like
do.
ridiculous. Like, he is Mr. Self-Motive. If you saw the list of things that he does, of how freaking cool he is,
Right.
It's insane to me. So he actually is not Mr. Lazy.
Wheelchair
But-
hang gliding.
Yeah,
That's
for
one of
sure.
them.
That was number one on his list. That's what he does. No, but it is challenging.
It is. And just to be honest, it sounds way too much of a commitment. And I can barely make a commitment in like a normal relationship. So I think there's certain people out there that their minds are programmed to be okay with this kind of stuff. And I feel like there should be some sort of meeting place for these men and women to like come together. And again, you could meet someone and not think that that's something you want to do and then turn into that person because you love this person so much. Right. But in general, I would say that
I've been watching this show called Boardwalk Empire, and one of the main characters comes back from the war. And
you say the show like no one's ever heard of it.
Yeah,
before.
It's a great show.
It's my favorite.
I'm not sure if you've heard of it.
It's my favorite show ever.
It's a great show.
It's my favorite show.
And there's one of the main characters is missing half his face, and it's a really
he's super hot.
But in real life he's a really good.
No. But I mean, in the mask, he's hot.
Yeah, but even in the mask, and there's this gorgeous woman who ends up falling for him, and they end up getting married. And she has that caregiver mentality. You know, she's a woman that went through a tough upbringing herself. And I feel, look, at the end of the day, there's so many people in this world, and there is someone that's right for someone else. I remember walking down the street, and I saw two people with Down syndrome, right? It was a male and a female, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think about it, well, what if I had Down syndrome? Would I ever be able to find somebody? But this male and female, they were holding hands, and they were like so happy, and it's like, wow, these two people found each other. Mm-hmm. And regardless of what you have, there's going to be a partner out there for you.
I think so too.
And if you're smart, like your friend is, and you put it out there, this is who I am, this is what you're getting into, but I'm okay with it. Are you okay with it? You're gonna run into people that are not okay with it. People like Kristen who are not okay with it.
Horrible people.
But there are
who wants to be with people
there's
like that?
going to be someone out there who does want to be with you, and you know that fits who they are as a human being.
I completely agree with you. I wouldn't say that chances are less or chances are more for people with any type of disability or some sort of thing that they think is against them. Yeah. I think the thing that is against them is themselves, to be honest. Exactly what you just said.
Like when I was bald, right? Well, I started losing when I was a bald man, and then I got plugs. No, I'm just saying. When I was I started losing my hair when I was like 17 or 18,
really?
Which really freaked me out because I was like one of the most popular kids in my high school.
Not anymore,
right?
Yeah.
You know what? At first, I wasn't because I was like really self-conscious about it. I was always wearing hats. I was like, oh, I'm bald. You know, my friends would give me shit for it. But the minute I embraced it, I realized, wow, girls like me just as much. Mm-hmm. I'm totally cool with it. You know, it's not a problem at all. The only problem was the problem with myself that I had. Yeah. And I feel that our listeners that do have these issues, whether they're bald, whether they're short, or they have a disability, they have to get over the issue with themselves first.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because really, you know, whatever you project is what someone else is going to accept.
Absolutely. Yeah. I completely agree with you. I get guys all the time writing into me saying, I'm this, all positive things. And they say, the only problem is I'm short. Or the only problem is I'm bald. The only problem is I'm fat. And I'm just like, that's your problem. You have to stop fixating on what you are or what you don't have and start focusing on the things that you have
and what you just said is this is what I am. I am bald. So guess what? All you're going to be is bald.
Yeah, and that's what you project to other people. It's crazy. So I wanted to, I guess we have addressed the topic of stereotypes. Stereotypes are out there, but they're just floaty ideas. Like, for example, if you go online and you look at a woman's profile, right, and it says, I'm looking for a guy between this age and this age, between this side and this side. This is just an ideal of what possibly she would want. Doesn't mean she would be opposed to anything else. Everybody has their ideal vision and their expectation of who they should be. For me, I thought I was going to be with a balding, eyeglass wearing, 6'5" Jew. That's who I thought I was going to date. So when I met my husband, he
you threw me off with the 6'5" part. I've seen.
Sorry, 5'5".
Yeah,
6'5". You're like Jew.
A basketball player Jew with glasses.
Yeah, exactly. Sounds awesome. No,
circus.
Sorry, 5'5". Like that's who I always pictured. So for me, actually, when I first moved to LA, that's all that I was looking at. I didn't even think that anybody else was another possibility because they weren't in my vision, and they weren't in my expectation.
Because they were too tall.
Right, exactly. It hurt my neck, which my husband does all the time. But after meeting my husband, it broadened my spectrum of the ideas of who I would want to be with. So it doesn't mean that women are only going to be with certain types of guys. It just means that they may not be I can't speak today, may not have been exposed to someone like you, and you have to educate them on how freaking amazing you are.
And if you think about it, like if we're gonna, I think the easiest thing to talk about is bald, because Mo's here. But if you're going to talk about someone who's bald and we're seeing past the stereotypes, well, what are the stereotypes? I mean, associated with bald. Does that mean he's boring, or does it mean he has like a bad job, or
I don't know. What does it mean actually?
It's weird, because I feel like men especially are very self-conscious of being bald. I watch my friends now.
I think women are very self-conscious of being bald too.
Oh yeah, women are too.
Not more so.
Yeah.
But men more so, and I watch my friends now, and they're starting to bald, right? And they used to give me shit all the time, so now I'm starting to fuck with them a little bit.
Yeah, 20 years later, he got his revenge.
Yeah, I got you. But no, I'm telling. Like I remember one time I fell asleep. And my friends literally drew a cul-de-sac on the back of my head because they called me cul-de-sac because I was balding in the back of my head. So they drew like houses on it and cars, and like I woke up to it, and my friends' parents were laughing at it. It was really embarrassing. Like that kind of shit could mess with you.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know why. Women don't find it unattractive. Like some women, like
I find it sexy.
It just depends on what you're into. I mean, this is not as severe as being in a wheelchair or having something where you can't speak properly. But for me, I'm like super flat chested. I have no boobs, and of course, when you're a teenager, you're uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
People pick on you, and like you have mosquito bites. Yeah, and I'm like, listen, I've been bitten by a mosquito. That's I don't know what I'm talking about. That wasn't funny at all. I had no idea where I was going with that. However, I would get angry, and then I stopped getting angry once I became okay with the fact that I had no boobs. And I'm like, I'm super Gwyneth Paltrow-y. Like, I'm all ribcage, and I'm cool with it. But it was I took time to adjust. And, like, honestly, I've thought about, like, what would it be like with boob implants? I would never get them.
Really?
I would be really uncomfortable because it's not who I am.
Yeah, and it's freaking heavy.
And
so you have to look at the things that are that you've gotten out of whatever it is you think is wrong with you. Like for me, I feel like having no boobs has made me a little bit more like fun, or able to like
you
be
can run
sporty
faster.
and I don't have to be worried about like a lot of things that a lot of women do. So it's like
I have to hold my breasts in my exercise classes sometimes, because they bounce too
You
much.
make me hold them for you sometimes.
I know, exactly, while we're doing the show, because it's just so damn uncomfortable.
I've noticed with some women who get breast implants, they were self-conscious of their breasts before, and then all of a sudden they get breast implants and they're still self-conscious of their breasts.
Because then there's a whole new set of things to be self-conscious about.
Yeah, I'm just like,
they're too hard, or they're going to tell they're self-conscious. I get it.
And you realize that it was never the breast to begin with.
Well, you think quick fixes are going to make a difference, like getting hair implants or doing a comb over will help you, or getting like lifts in your shoes.
Instead of getting like breast implants, I just want to get large nipples. I'm like, can you just like, give me really big nipples?
A big areola and a big nipple.
Grapefruit size.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Like children nipples.
Oh God, no. Horrible. But yeah, so I think that's the message for today. Is love yourself, people.
Yeah, work on the
really
inside.
Love yourself. That's pretty much what it is.
I mean, and if I were listening to that and I was in a wheelchair or couldn't speak, I'd be like, yeah, go fuck yourself.
No, but okay, let's expand that.
True.
And let's expand that definition.
Okay.
It's not just love yourself. It's work on yourself. Figure out what you actually like about yourself. Think about the other positives. If you can't think of other positives, then there's other work to be done.
Yeah.
It's developing a personality. It's figuring out how to make yourself funny. Or if you have a sense of humor, think about what you're passionate about.
Right.
I'm going to do a plug again for myself, but you can get Inside Her, which is on Amazon, or you can get my program, How to Become a Man Women Want, and it literally gives you a guidebook, both of them do, and instructions on how to figure out what you like about yourself, and then gives you step-by-step instructions on if you don't like anything about yourself, what to do and how to find those things.
Like Marni said, if you want to get funny, you can go to my YouTube page.
Yes, exactly.
It's
plug it up.
youtube.com/CUNextTuesComedy and share the PSA video with all of your friends.
Yeah, because then you can be funny and you can learn from Kristen. Because that's the whole thing. Like for me, when I was younger, I in my mind I was awesome, but I wasn't projecting that out to other people because I was so self-conscious all the time, thinking about what I didn't have compared to other people. And when I flipped that around and started concentrating on the things that I did have, I didn't become an arrogant, stuck-up bitch because I'm like, oh, I'm so freaking cool. But I got to the point where I can honestly say I'm awesome. I'm an awesome person. I'm okay with saying that. It's not me being arrogant. It's me being happy with who I am, happy with my faults and happy with my successes and happy all around. You know, I think that's the place that most people want to be.
Yeah, and men, get rid of "but" out of your conversation.
Yes.
Okay, out of your
Sean's butt.
vocabulary.
Get off your butt.
Yeah, just don't stop saying "but." It's not "but I'm bald" or "but I'm fat" or "but this." Change that with "and." Okay,
Yeah.
so
And I'm fat.
and I'm funny, or and I'm generous, and something positive instead of "but" something negative.
Exactly. I think that was a good wrap up. And we didn't say the chapter in the men's playbook, so we didn't have to hear that horrible music. Don't put it on.
No, take my shirt off.
Oh God, it's so horrible.
Out of the Roxbury.
Oh, please, people, write us in with alternatives. I don't know why. I liked it a lot in the beginning.
I don't mind it, and I actually feel bad saying because Art made it. You made that.
No, I liked the music,
Yeah,
but now
I mean, I threw it together. It wasn't like I sat here for 3 hours.
he sat for 3 hours.
How about we-
I like
Artistic
the music,
integrity.
but it makes me feel it's like Zoolander or something.
How about we have a
Night at the
Al
Roxbury.
Pacino compromise, which is a Al Pacino
Devil's
compromise? No, like from our last one, Any Given Sunday.
No, my favorite is from
compromise.
Greece.
Yeah,
We're
let's
gonna
do it from
roll
Greece.
them around.
Let's
I
do
like that Grease
one.
idea. Yeah,
Let's do that one.
All right.
All
Kristen
right.
and I, because we like it, and we're girls.
Yeah.
Seriously, and let's do Hairspray, and let's do all these awesome musicals.
We totally should. We should
Chicago.
do a totally different show.
He had it coming.
See? Oh, look at that little quote. All right, so I think we're done with this week's chapter in the man's playbook. And after the break, we're going to be with Shy Love, author of, I don't know, what are the book's names?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, but there's one for, how to get girls and one for how to date rich men. So I want to hear what she has to say. She's a past porn star and present and future publisher, and we'll have her after the break, and we'll talk to her, and we'll do Analyze This as well. So we'll be back in a bit.
This is an important announcement for anyone with a student loan who is having trouble making their monthly payments. If that's you, pay attention, because there's a special toll-free hotline that has been set up especially for you. So grab a pen and take this number down, or put it in your cell phone. 1-800-652-3707. That's 1-800-652-3707. When you call the National Student Loan Relief Hotline, you will get free information. That's free information to help you relieve the overwhelming financial burden of an ongoing endless student loan. If you are behind, late on payments, or even in default of your student loan, the National Student Loan Relief Hotline can help you. You may also be able to cut your payments in half right away. The National Student Loan Relief Hotline can also stop the harassing phone calls, wage garnishments, and even remove tax liens. The National Student Loan Relief partner companies have helped thousands of people just like you fix their student loan problem. Call 1-800-652-3707 for free information today. That's 1-800-652-3707. You're listening to the Ask Women podcast, a Podcast One presentation.
Welcome back to the Ask Women podcast. We are with Shy Love, who is in studio with us, and she is the best-selling author, which we didn't say before, but best-selling author on Amazon for How to Catch a Kitten, and then she also wrote another book called How to Land a Rich Man. Welcome to our show.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Well, you were saying before women are crazy, so
I think
please
women
elaborate
are
on
dumb.
that. Women are dumb. Sorry, dumb.
I think
not
women
crazy.
are dumb.
And
I think
crazy.
And crazy, and they don't know what the hell they want.
Elaborate. Continue.
Amen.
I think that women always say, one of the things I hear, and even from all of my friends, is, I want this nice guy. I want this guy that's financially secure. I want all these particular things. And then they end up with such losers.
Yeah, they end up the opposite,
They
right?
end up with complete opposite.
Well, I feel like I've had that experience in just my life in general because I've wanted to act and do this and do that. And that means I didn't want a regular job, so I was like living poor. And it's like you want this super high standard of living, but you end up with this really low one because your expectations are up here and it's like climbing a mountain.
But expectations are good.
They are, but if
It's
as
how you
long
put
as
the
they're
dream
not like
together.
a mountain and you
No,
find it.
I have a rule in life. I create the mountain and I make sure I climb it. That's my rule in life.
That goes hand in hand
I
with
create
what we
a
were saying at the
hole
beginning
and
of
I
our
make
show.
sure I fall in it. That's mine.
I don't know. I've been really good at building mountains and climbing to the top of the mountain, and I'm surprised that I've done it throughout all these years. But the problem I see with like a lot of women is they get this idea of what they think they want life to be, but they think it's just going to be handed to them.
Mm-hmm.
life isn't handed to you. You choose what door you want to open, and you choose what's going to come out of that door, and don't cry about it because you chose it.
Well, that's most people in general. They have expectations they don't want to work for. But what you were talking about before is that women say one thing and then they do something opposite, which is typical for people in general.
And I did that because there was an 8-year portion of my life, and I might not look I'm at old or anything else, but I'm actually in my mid-30s. And there was a portion of my life I was with someone that I truly felt that loved me, and I was going through a sick moment in my life, and I was going through a lot of doctor visits and everything else, and I felt like the person fell in love with me, and I was like, how could someone love me so much, and knowing that I was sick?
Right.
Not realizing that the person thought, oh, God, I'm going to be dating a woman with money, and she's going to die soon, and if I marry her, I'm going to get it all.
What?
That was my life.
Okay.
And it really was. And for 8 years, I was with this guy who manipulated me and made me believe that he was the only thing that I was ever going to have. He made sure that my friends were only his friends. I didn't have my own friends. So if I felt that if I left, that I wouldn't have nothing.
Right.
And he used a lot of manipulation tactics for 8 years where not only did I financially take care of him, but I was completely in love, and I thought that life without him would be miserable.
Interesting.
But what's funny is majority of my friends are all in the same situation because there are these manipulation tactics that are being used consistently, and they just don't know what's being done. So when I wrote How to Catch a Kitten...
Like being slipped a roofie.
Exactly. So when I wrote How to Catch a Kitten, it's great for women because they'll learn how not to be abused. But it's great for men because they'll learn the tricks of what it takes to get women, because a lot of the guys that are very sweet and nice and innocent, they're like, why do all the jerks get the men? Well, because they treat us like crap, and for some reason, the more the guy treats us like crap and doesn't want us, we want them more.
So, okay, so paint a bigger picture. So this guy treated you like crap for 8 years, and you thought he loved you?
Yeah.
And how did it end up?
Because he would go and give me massages and like make my bed and like bring me coffee to the,
So where's the treating like crap part?
But he would do all that, but then he would go and steal money or cause businesses that I was suing to go sour. And
that's different. That's not treating you like crap. That's being a bad business person and fucking things up.
He was what he did was he gave me what he thought I was missing in life, which was love and emotion, and then took advantage of that by giving me that. And then taking advantage of the rest of my life.
Right. So that's not really falling in love with a bad boy. That's being deceived and not knowing you.
He was a complete bad boy. But the thing is, most bad boys deceive women. They make you believe that they're the sweetest, kindest guys. And then they show their true colors. And then the good guys who show you that they're good get screwed in the process because they don't know how to be bad. And the thing is, the more a guy says, I don't want you, the more girl wants.
I'm a little bit confused. Okay, so I want to understand. So both of these people are showing good behavior, but their intentions behind what they're doing are different.
Yes.
So what I'm like, because this is the thing, I want to break this down. Because most guys say, oh, women like assholes. So women don't actually like assholes, douchebags, and bad boys. Because you're not saying that he walked up to you and said, you're fucking fat. And then you're like, oh,
but I had
guys
say that to me, though.
What?
I have had guys say you're a little bit too thick or you're not hot enough.
What? And then were you all over them because?
I wondered why the hell they didn't like me.
Would do things to make them want you?
And I would go and just push to make sure by the end of the night they wanted me.
They wanted you
because it was for me the thrill of the game of making them like winning them over to say I'm this.
Right.
And that's the thing. Most women want that guy to sit there and say they're hot, they're great, they're perfect. And when a guy doesn't say that, you're like, what the hell's wrong with me? Am I like fat? Am I not pretty? Am I not this? And they can think that a girl's absolutely a 10 out of a 10. But a 10 out of a 10 is probably more insecure than a 5.
Right. So is that...
Because they've had to lie to themselves their whole life to like get out of bed in the morning.
I had to lie to myself for years. I was really ugly. Like, really, I was with glasses, butt teeth, braces, horrible dressing style, horrible hair. I was this ugly nerd. And then one day I decided that I was tired of being the ugly nerd and I wanted to see what it was like to be on the other side.
Right.
So I just basically took the brains and brought them to the hotter side.
Right.
What did you do? Because there's women who are listening who are probably like, what did she do to become attractive?
I train to make my body look the way it does. And I train a lot. I eat extremely healthy. I have like such an extreme diet which most women wouldn't understand it, but I was 182 pounds literally a year ago.
Yeah, she is not 182 pounds.
No,
now,
I'm 109
Maybe
now.
in the boobs.
Like the boobs, maybe. But now
so
I'm 109. But
bite.
I went from 182 pounds to 109 in 4 months.
Wow.
My diet is so strict. And to be honest, I don't want a man looking for a replacement. I want to be his goddess in every possible way. And the problem is the woman gets into a relationship like, oh, I'm going to let it slack. Well, you let it slack, then the hotter version of you is going to come along and take what you have.
Right.
Before we get any further, though, I want to know what happened with the guy that you were with for 8 years. How did he reveal himself to be this bad person?
I knew it was happening, and my friends were telling me, and I was being naive. And I'm like, no, he truly loves me. And they're like, no, he's truly using you, and he's manipulating you. And I'm like, no, he's not. And then I get a call from my accountant, and my accountant tells me $250,000 is missing from my bank account. And I'm like, how the hell does that happen? And I'm like, I didn't spend any money. And they're like, well, these checks were signed by you. I'm like, no, they weren't. And they're like, yeah, they were. And I'm
So
like,
he was stealing from you.
So he was stealing. And that was what finally opened up my eyes.
So do you have better red flag?
Oh, I don't play
detectors
games
now?
anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that's different. You weren't playing games before either.
No, but now I am completely in control of everything, and I am in my accounts on a daily basis, and I audit my accounts, and I do my own accounting, so I know what's going in and out at every minute of the day.
Well, what about your relationships now? Because I would think that experience would possibly leave you guarded. Kristen and I went on a Brandy Glanville show, and she was talking about, she's the one who was cheated on by whatever the hell his name was.
Yeah, Leanne Ryan.
Like
and-
Zimmerman.
Yeah, I know who
Yeah.
she is. She's the girl that I actually like because she has no filter.
Yeah, no filter.
Yeah,
I
but she was
love
great.
women with
but,
no
but
filter.
she was talking about being cheated on, and it happened a long time ago. And I get that it's in the media, and it's like her thing to be cheated on. But she was talking about her dating life now and how difficult it is because she thinks everybody's going to cheat. So, do you think everybody's going to steal from you now?
I have one rule in dating: you can't judge your future by your past. And if you continuously allow your past to affect your future, you're never going to grow from it.
Right.
So you're going to keep reliving the same scenario over and over again. So if you always think a guy's going to cheat, and you're like, oh, I'm just insecure because I think you're going to cheat. If you're already throwing it in his face and he's there listening to it, he's going to cheat because you're already accusing him of it. So your past is your past, and you got to get past that.
But that's good that you can separate it.
But I separate everything in life. I don't allow one thing to affect the future.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, if I did, I would be reliving the same life over and over again.
Right.
Everything that I do, a new relationship is a new start, a new beginning, and I don't bring the past into the future.
I love it. So, are you in a relationship now?
I'm married now, yeah.
You are married. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I've been with a guy for 9 years.
Wow.
So
And-
I have
yeah.
2 kids with him, so...
Wonderful. And so he's not stealing from you.
He's not stealing from me, thank God, and he has more money than I do, thank God, so I don't have to worry about that. But he was the one that made me open up my eyes. When I wrote How to Land a Rich Man, he was the one that convinced me to write the book. He's like, you use all these manipulation tactics against me. You might as well just write about it because you were so good at getting me. And I'm like, thank you. But with him, it's different because he made me open up and say, listen, you got to put your walls up so that you don't open up your heart completely and don't allow just anyone in.
Right.
And he allowed me to get past the guilt and everything else of my past and move to the person that I am today. And he's like, you can't live off your past. You got to live off today.
It's wonderful.
So now I just like when he goes, like, well, he travels like 8 weeks and then he's home for like 3-4 weeks and then he travels 8 weeks. Are you concerned with cheating? No, because it's going to take a lot of women to go ahead and replace me.
I like that.
And as long
You
as
have a little
I know
bit of a
that-
black woman inside you.
I do. I'm Latina. It's the Latin side of me that
I
comes
like
out.
it. Well, what about the other one, the best-selling book about how to land a kitten? So what would be 3 pieces of advice that you would offer to men on how to get a really hot, awesome girl?
Yeah, and they're a real nice guy. Like, I'm a nice guy, and girls take me for granted.
1, never give her attention. The more attention you give her, the more she's going to go and think that you're just too sweet, too nice, and too easy to get. That would be
Can you
step
elaborate
1.
on that? So, like, for me, when I hear never give her attention, it's like literally don't ever look at her or talk to her. So how do you make it
it's
happen?
Like, how am I gonna meet her?
Okay, this is why. You'll go into a nightclub or you'll go into a restaurant. You see a beautiful girl and you really like the girl. And you're like, the first instinct from a guy who's attracted by her is, hi, my name is this, and they introduce themselves. But then again, they have like 20 other guys doing the exact same thing.
Right.
So instead of giving her the attention that she wants, of actually approaching her, give her a look, a glance that makes her understand you're attractive, but she's not good enough for you to go and say hello to. And that's going to be like, okay, so I just had 20 guys just want my number. This guy's giving me the glance like he cares, but then he's not giving me the attention of coming up to me. And that's going to make her more attracted to that guy.
Okay.
So
what's number 2?
Number 2 would be, I would say, my biggest bitch is most women don't travel alone. I happen to go out alone all the time because I'm always doing research, which is really bad. So when people see me in a restaurant, I'm like, oh, she's doing research. I travel alone because I like to do a lot of research. But most women, they usually have 1 or 2 or 3 other girls with them because most women are uncomfortable being alone. Yeah. They feel like people are judging them if they're in a restaurant eating alone. So my advice is learn who has what characteristics in a pact. Women travel in a pack. There's the girl who's the blocker. She's like the main bitch.
Hate her.
She's the one that everybody listens to. She's queen bee. She controls the group. And everyone trusts their judgment because she's like a sister. And then there's like the conservative sweet girl. Then you have...
It's like Sex in the City.
Yeah. Then you have the really hot girl. Then you have, the girl, I call it the spunky girl, which is just as hot as the hot girl, but just as smart as the blocker. So she fits in the middle.
And she probably is the funnest to have sex with.
She's actually, believe it or not, the funnest usually to have sex with is the blocker or the conservative girl.
Yeah, I would think so too.
It's the blocker and the conservative girl.
Angry.
And I'll tell you this because
frustration.
I am typically, in my group, I'm typically usually the blocker. And I don't look like the blocker. Was she just hitting on you?
I think she was hitting on you. She was telling you she's good at bed.
Yeah, that's what she was saying.
Look at this.
I'm into it. Keep going.
I'm the beautiful one who's horrible in bed.
Exactly.
But I'm typically the blocker in the group. And most blockers don't look like me, so it's kind of weird because usually I give the guys a tip. Typically, most blockers are very, very smart, very educated, but they're not the best looking of the pack, and that's when you have to take a grenade for the team. So you get lucky when you get a blocker like me because it's not really taking a grenade. It's like, okay, I can do that. But the idea is knowing how to penetrate the group. And most guys go for the hot girl first. Guess what? The hot girl has 50 guys coming on to her. So it's like, okay, whatever. And most hot girls are insecure. So they feed into what you're saying so that you can feed them more compliments so they feel better about themselves.
Right.
And then after you're done giving them 50,000 compliments and buying them drinks and making them feel good, they're like, okay, see you later.
And they're going to use that power to go up to a guy that they really like.
Exactly.
So what's the tip?
So the tip is always go for the blocker first and then secondary the spunky girl.
We get a lot of questions about how to approach a group, so I think that's a really good advice for them.
Always approach the blocker. Be respectable. Just give us
Sounds
a
like you're
hello.
saying black girl. Just so you guys know, it's
Go for the black girl first. That's your way in.
It's not the black
Don't approach the black girl because she will beat your ass.
Blocker.
The blocker.
So you go to her first and you approach her first and you make it comfortable. It's like
how do you know that she's the blocker?
Oh, you know who the blocker is.
But how do you know she's the blocker?
She's usually the one.
She's the one with
She's
the
the bully.
highest confidence, the one that all the girls you see. Come on, I have girlfriends, and you can see.
But these are guys you're talking to.
But
who don't see what we see. I can see.
You can see who's the one in control and power.
It's the ugliest one.
It's the ugliest one
is.
where she's like, you know what, just give me what I need, da-da-da-da, puts the click together, and it's like, okay, everybody sit. You can see she's the one in control. And the reason why is because the girls are like, I know I'm safe with her, so I'll give her that control. You know when you walk into a room, that's the bitch.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well,
I know what you're saying because I grew up with like super bitchy girls.
We're the bitches. We're the
I
ones
know
that
who the
most
bitches
difficult.
are.
Yeah,
I avoid them in everyday life.
And you
all
can
the
go
time.
and you'll look at us and we give you that roll of the eye like, I know you did not just come up to this table.
Okay, so that would be a sign.
The blocker's like, you're making out with the hot girl at the end of the night, and you think you're going to bang
she's
her.
eyeballing
and
you.
then the blocker grabs her and pulls her in the
And
car
says, "Time
and
to
says,
go."
we're leaving.
Yeah, that's the blocker.
You know who the blocker
I know
is.
who she is. I'm talking for people who are listening,
it's
who are like so in their heads they can't figure out who's
do I bring
who's
do
the
I
black
bring a
girl.
guy friend who is my blocker,
Black girl's obvious.
like exploder?
I think it's always good that guys travel in a pack the same way a girl travels in a pack. And then what you have to determine is who is the alpha dog in the wolf pack, is what I call it. And you have to pick one guy, and that's the guy who's going to penetrate the pack. And that's going to be your alpha dog the rest of the night.
That Could be you, Mo.
So you got to be
you
the
could
alpha
penetrate.
dog. I've been a penetrator.
Now,
believe
that
it.
guy's the one that has the most confidence, that's very respectable, and can make a girl comfortable. And what most people think is telling a girl, oh, you're beautiful is going to get her attention. It doesn't.
No.
I've had guys who flirt with me and gets me attention. It's the weirdest freaking things, but it works.
Like what?
I was in an airport coming back from a diamond convention, and I was there buying diamonds, of course, because I'm a spoiled brat. But I was there buying diamonds, and I was coming back to the airport, and the flight has been delayed literally already like 45 minutes. And the guy goes, do you know how long this flight was delayed? I'm like, it's already been 45. They don't know how long it's going to be. He's like, okay, not a problem. And he sits next to me, doesn't say a word. I'm like, okay. He's not saying anything to me. And then so I'm sitting there and I'm texting and everything else. He's ignoring me completely, like I don't even matter at all. And then he goes, do you mind watching my bag? I really want to go and grab a glass of wine or something from the bar and then bring it back and just, have a chill moment.
He
and
was
we're
a
in
terrorist.
Vegas. And he was too cute.
You're not
to
supposed
be
to do that in the
cute.
airport.
But he was okay looking, but he wasn't like a terrorist looking guy. I was like, yeah, I don't mind watching. He goes, do you mind?
He didn't look like Mo.
Yeah.
He didn't look like Mo.
Can you watch my bag?
I actually like Mo's look.
I know Mo's handsome.
I have a thing with guys who are exotic looking, and Mo's kind of exotic.
Thank you.
I don't know where you're from, but it's hot.
I'm Lebanese.
That's what it is. I have a thing for Lebanese, Israelis. All Middle
Women
Eastern
love
guys
that.
are
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
yummy. But, but so he goes, do you want me to bring you a drink? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just not comfortable because I don't really know you that well. He goes, well, if you want, I'll buy you something that makes sure it has a cap on so you don't have to worry about it. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So he brings me back a drink and he gives it to me. And then he's just like, so what were you here for? And I'm like, oh, I was here for the diamond convention. He goes, oh, I was there too for that. I was with my dad. And he kept it so like completely comfortable where he wasn't hitting on me at all.
Yeah.
And
You
I'm
just feel like you're having a conversation.
It was just a conversation, and I started flirting.
Right.
And I was totally into him, and I'm like, this dude is totally acting like I'm nothing. And he doesn't care. And next thing I'm like, do you want to go to the bar? Because the flight was already delayed another 45 minutes. He's like, yeah, let's go to the bar. We sat in the bar. We're having our conversations the entire time in the bar. He's not even speaking to me, like, and flirting with me. It's just like all like a friendship. And I'm like, okay, what the hell am I doing wrong here? I'm giving the guy the signs, and he still wasn't giving me the attention. So we finally get on a plane. We sit next to each other because we're on Southwest, so you can sit right next to each other. It's not like designated seats. And again, we're still talking, and he's not flirting. And I'm like, what the hell? So I pull out of we end up parking in the same spot. And I'm like, well, it's a pleasure to meet you. Here's my number. And I gave him my number, and he gave me his. And then as I'm pulling out of the lot, I'm like, what are you doing right now? And he goes, I'm getting ready to turn to get on the highway. I said, pull over. And I kissed him.
Wow.
In the middle of the road and said, you have my number. Call me if you want.
Look at you, very forward.
But it was a turn on to me that the guy wasn't giving me attention.
Is it not giving you attention?
It was
Or
giving
it's-
me the attention, but not flirting or acting like he wanted to be with me. It wasn't
Seems like he
important.
has other things going on.
Yeah, it was more important for him just to have a conversation with someone sociably. And that's the thing. Most men think it's about flirting, and it's not.
So what was going on in your mind? Are you thinking, okay, everybody else here wants me, why don't you?
Yeah, pretty much. And that's what every hot girl thinks.
Yeah.
Why don't you want me when I know everybody in the room is looking at me?
Okay, so then what happened with this guy afterwards? Did you go out? Did he call you?
No, we became best friends. I now
see?
mentor
That's-
him on relationships and everything else. And it wasn't because he and I weren't into each other or anything else, but he's like, I really like you. And I'm like, I really like you too. But we realized we were better as friends.
Okay.
So it was just a kiss. And now now he's dating a wonderful girl
That's awesome.
that he's absolutely in love with. And he's like, I would have never been able to do that if you didn't get me out of my shell.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So
So
now
he
I-
wasn't using that as a technique. That's just who he
it
was shy.
who he was. He was shy. And then what I started doing is he actually helped me write this book.
Oh, wow.
And he gave me a lot of tips. And together we came up with all the tips on what to do. And because of what I did, he finally has a girlfriend, and he's 37 years old.
That's awesome.
Yay.
Well, let's get to some questions from our listeners because I think your insight will be interesting for them. Okay, so one question that I got on Twitter, and I didn't even have the name in, damn it. Okay, question for the show. How soon is a guy expected to take care of a girl when she gets the flu? After date 1, 2, 10, sex, or moving in?
Never when you first meet a girl. I would agree because if you do it too quick, the girl's going to think she already has you wrapped around her finger. She's going to get bored and kick you to the curb. So the response is, I feel so bad that you're sick. If there's anything I can do, just
call me in a week.
Let me know. But then when she calls you, make yourself unavailable. Okay. Taking care of a girl when she's sick, I mean, it happens to be like, it just depends on, I don't think until you're in a relationship with her, she's taking care of her.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sorry. She can
the loving, intimate behavior comes out once you're in a
her ass can stay in bed sick. That's her problem, not yours.
So is this like are we talking after a couple dates or after a month of seeing each other?
Well, he's asking. He's like, when do you start taking care of people who have the flu?
I've dropped off soup at girls I'd been kind of dating.
I know for me,
if you've been dating them, that's different though. Yeah. You're dating them.
Like I know where they live and
how many dates in?
Dating.
How many dates in?
Maybe like 5 dates, 6 dates in.
5, 6 dates in. That's when a girl already knows she's having sex with you, and if you're having sex, you bring her soup.
Yeah, because
then you're not getting laid
again.
We're
making the sex.
Then you're having sex. Then
okay,
so
good answer.
Have to do it.
So it's once you're
once you're intimate.
Yeah, once you're intimate.
And that's like every base, right?
Yeah, if you've been with someone for 2 months and you're not intimate, you don't go and bring her soup because that's just going to be like, oh, he's just a little puppy dog. He can do whatever he wants. I don't really have to sleep with him.
Like, why haven't you brought me soup? Well, you haven't given me sex,
so why should I pamper you the way I should?
Oh, I like that.
So that's the tip.
Okay, next question. This is from Jillian. Jill. Okay. So she wrote, I wrote you guys a couple of months ago, and I'm glad you didn't answer my email because your last episode, number 35, I know. You're welcome.
Because you're a bunch of assholes.
You're welcome.
That's all.
Okay. Helps me realize my problem. The older man I've been hanging out with is one of those men who has never pursued someone he really liked. He's 43 years old, and I'm the first person he's ever liked. He's never been in love and said relationships ended because he didn't feel anything for them. And the longest relationship he has ever been in was less than a year and about 10 years ago. He and I have a great friendship. We travel together and run races together, and the only time we kissed was because I kissed him. Oh, similar story to what you had. Well, no, you know what I mean. But it was terrible. I was just sick of waiting. He's great, but I can't be the girl for him when he has a lot to figure out. Like you, Marni, I need the guy to make the moves. I've accepted that he and I, I'm correcting her grammar, I'm so proud of myself. I might be doing it wrong though. He and I will just be friends. As great as we get along, it's not sexual. How can I help him?
She's already making a mistake.
By
She's
doing
too
what?
available.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
1, too available. 2, she hasn't learned how to become her own siren. Men with power and money and everything else are used to having everything.
I don't think he sounds like a man with power and money. I think he sounds like
all
a man who's never been in a relationship.
And it's usually if he's traveling and taking her on trips and pampering her, he has some form of money and power. If she's traveling with him and they're racing horses, you can already tell. Racing horses, it's not cheap to do that, which means he has money, and you can read it right off the top of the head.
Oh, run races.
They run races, which means money.
Like a marathon? It means money?
It doesn't say horses in there.
It doesn't say horses.
Marathoners make a ton of money doing what they do. They have sponsorships and everything else. If they're racing cars, money. Racing horses, money. That all comes from a form.
No, I think they're running like a 5K.
Look, either way, she's not going to fix this guy. Okay, this guy's an grown old man.
It doesn't matter if he's old. He's used to getting girls that throw themselves on him so he doesn't feel like it's a fight for him.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's a struggle. All men they always want that power of being able to say, I got something someone else didn't. And that's what entices them more in a relationship. So she's making herself available, going on trips with him, being friends, being available on phone calls. He just feels like, okay, you know what? She's there. I have her if I need her. I think she's my backup girl if I can't find the main girl.
I think she already knows the answer possibly to the question because she said he hasn't kissed me, and he said in past relationships he just didn't feel anything. And I think perhaps he just doesn't feel anything again.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, he probably does. But he just likes to play the game. So what you do is you go in.
He sounds like a pussy to me.
Wow, you read this so differently than
I see it as you bring a good-looking guy in front of that guy and you flirt and you make sure that he sees the beauty that he might not see that someone else does. And the moment he sees something else penetrating his circle and taking what's his, he will go ahead and put that control and never make yourself so available.
And sweetheart, you're not getting any younger here. Okay, why are you chasing a man for this long who's been turning you down?
I'm going to give advice to most women.
That's the main thing.
Past 30, we're almost expired. And I'm just telling you that as a woman, most women expire past 30. So you need to get your shit together before then. And if you don't have it together by then, you better learn how to play the game between 30 and 35.
Well, what would you say, Mo?
If I was her, I'd walk away. I'd just find someone else that actually gives her attention.
In the marathon.
And look, you can stay friends with this guy. That's great, but go be with someone who's actually going to make you feel good.
As soon as he sees her with someone else,
oh yeah, he's going to want her.
He's going to say, "I want you," and he will be on top of her like.
But that's what that guy needs.
Yeah, he needs a smack in his
that type of
face to
motivation,
realize
not
that he has
somebody
something good.
Yeah,
who's
fire
pouncing
under
on
his
him.
ass.
Okay.
Like always.
Okay, so here's another question. Can you talk about how to handle an outright no from a woman in any situation?
A no.
So if a woman
It
says,
depends on
yeah,
what.
no.
You sit there and say, "Okay, not a problem. Bye." Walk away.
Yeah, if you don't
Ignore
act
her.
hurt, affected,
Like,
she can
whatever.
become possibly interested.
Well, it's exactly what you were saying before. It's like, oh, wait a second. This isn't bothering him. He's not crushed. Like,
Yeah, just like, no,
why
okay.
doesn't he want
Right,
me?
well, then have a nice day. Bye. Pleasure to meet you. And then ignore her the rest of the night like she's nothing.
Like she's nothing. Okay, next question.
And hold on,
Because
and
she
no's
is nothing.
too. You know, it's all about how you handle the no. If it's an aggressive no and a threatening no, then
It doesn't matter.
Like you got to know a playful no from. I love no's because I get a lot when I was going after women. I love no's because I get a lot of yeses. So I just would. The
He's
no's
like, oh,
would.
this is a different story.
No, I'm just
for
saying
me.
the no's.
Okay, if a girl's giving you a
The
no and
no's
she's going
spark
forward,
my
and like,
interest.
no.
And then I keep,
She's already
but
putting
then I
her
keep
body
going,
towards you.
and then
So
Well,
you
that's a
already-
different no.
that's a
Body
different
language
no.
is telling you one thing, but her mouth is saying no.
Yeah.
So that's completely different. But if a girl just flat out says no and she turns her back,
Oh yeah, then
just
that's a no.
sit there and be like, okay, not a problem. Don't let it affect you.
Yeah.
The more the girl sees it affects you, the more she thinks she's won the game.
Yeah.
And if she sees it doesn't affect you, she's like, okay, why did it not bother him? And then if she asks, like, well, you were pretty, but it wasn't a big deal. Who cares? You're just another girl I was saying hi to. I was trying to be polite. You wanted to be rude, so who cares?
And then if she sees-
she's going to be like, oh my God, he just called me on my crap.
Yeah.
And then that's going to entice her into more of a
And
conversation.
then if she
anyway.
sees you with another woman laughing and having a good time, then
what
it's
did I
going to
miss out on?
piss her
I
off.
want
Yes.
Exactly. First and foremost, I'm a big fan of the material, and it's helped me in several different ways. I know you're so busy, I won't draw this out. I'm just going to get to the point. I absolutely cannot stand it when I'm hanging out with a girl and she is constantly looking at her phone. In a one-on-one situation, this usually doesn't happen, but anytime I'm in a group setting, girls are always looking at their phone, and it seems like they are more interested in social media than all the fun that's happening around them. There has to be a way to get a girl off of her phone, but I'm drawing a blank on this one. If you could give me some pointers, I would really appreciate it. Once again, thank you for what you do, and I look forward to hearing back from you guys. How do you get a woman off her phone in a fun, playful way?
social media whore. I really am. But I have a rule. I do it the beginning of the night. I just went to Tiesto's birthday party. So I did it literally for the intro. And then I did it in the middle just so I can go ahead and say, here's my Instagram, here's my stuff. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the night, I'm like, this is us, and halfway dead in a picture. The rule is when you're out in an environment, there should be set moments, beginning, mid, end, but it's not the whole night. And if the girl's doing it the whole night, just literally push her to the side and be like, you know what, you want to play that game? Then that's it. And the problem is that most of these men are buying these
So just
women.
push her. Just shove her
Well,
to
the
the
problem is
side
they're
of the
buying
room.
these women drinks or they're buying tables and they're doing this, and then the women are sitting at the table like they're not important. Baby, if you're buying a table, that girl better pay attention. And I'm not saying she has to go and jump on top of you and give you sex. I'm not saying that. That's, for me, I don't just give up sex so easily. But there should be a matter of respect. And she's not giving that to you. Be like, you know what? You've just been rude the whole night. You've been on social media. Next time I'm not inviting you, and you can go ahead and pay for your own table. And as soon as she hears that, she's like, oh, okay. She's going to want that guy to go out and spend time with her or buy her a drink or do those things. You got to be straightforward. Turn your phones off.
Okay.
Don't be.
What would you say?
Look, this is a problem. Social media has just become more and more prevalent.
It is plaguing our generation.
What'd you say? I'm
really
busy on my
is.
phone, Mo.
No, while you're on the phone. But no, it is becoming a big problem.
Yeah.
People don't know how to interact with one another. People, because of that, they feel awkward in conversations. So the easiest thing to do is go to your phone when you're in a group setting. Like, go to a nightclub. Everyone's on the dance floor. No one's actually dancing. They're just in a circle looking at their phone. So, look, this
I
is
don't know what nightclub you're going to, but that was not us Saturday night.
Well, no, yeah. Well,
We were on couches bouncing
Tiesto,
like-
Tiesto's spinning. I'm sure it's pretty good music. But yeah, I'm just saying, like, it's a big problem that we have. You just got to put yourself in environments where that's not allowed. or where you can't be on your cell phone.
Yeah, but one thing that you did point out was that people go to their phones for comfort. I know even I do it. You know, I could stand there really confidently smiling when I'm by myself, like standing in the middle of the street or waiting somewhere. But it's a lot easier to go to your
crazy
phone.
tabular.
Yes, exactly.
But
Just
you
smiling.
can't. But the thing is, the problem that most people have is that they're not straightforward and be like, "Look, you're being rude. Turn your phone off and pay attention to the circumstances that are happening now."
Right.
And I think that's the problem with today's society is that they get they get caught up in social media, and then someone doesn't want to be rude. But it's not being rude telling them to be off. It's being polite and saying respect the boundaries of where we're at. And I think if you did that more often, you'll probably see more girls say, "You know what? I didn't realize I was doing it. I'm so sorry."
Yeah. And look, when I get on a phone, it's when no one's talking to me, or I'm in a weird situation, or I'm waiting for somebody.
Me.
Right? That's us,
me.
right? So actually, start a conversation. Like, do something that's interesting.
Engage them. They're obviously not interested in what's happening.
But you know what, though? That
obviously...
isn't true. Because I remember when I was dating my husband, and it was so funny because we were out on Valentine's Day, and he takes me out to dinner. And I'm like, hold on, give me 1 minute. And I pick up my phone. I'm like, I got to answer this call. And I'm answering the call in the middle of our Valentine's Day dinner. And then I'm like, okay, let's go back to our normal thing. We're trying to be romantic. And I'm like, okay, hold on, my call again. And I'm answering the phone. And he literally said, you know what? I can't be in a relationship with someone who's in a relationship with their cell phone.
I love that. It's very direct.
I literally from that day forward was like, okay, I'm being disrespectful, and I've never done it since.
I love that.
But it took him being honest with me and straightforward for me to understand that. And I think most people aren't that honest, and that's the problem.
Yeah. See, I love that. That was a good answer. But we are going to have to wrap it up now. I know we always talk too much and then don't get to good questions.
I think we got to a decent amount today.
Really?
Yeah, compared to
we
what
were
we
fast.
usually do.
Okay, well then that's
Next
good.
week, double.
I know, seriously. We're going to do I'll Analyze This. So get ready for it. And hopefully we will do double episodes for the weeks coming up as long as Podcast One says we can do it. We can do it. But thank you so much for being here. If you want to get a copy of, what's the book called again?
It's How to Catch a Kitten and How to Land a Rich Man. You can get it on Amazon, or you can go
through
to
the
Money.
Ask Women link on our Podcast One page.
Okay, so they have it there too.
Yep.
And then, or you can go to moneylovesuccess.com.
Yeah, perfect. Go check it out. Go read it.
And where can we find you on Twitter and all that good stuff?
It's Twitter is Shy Love, and my Instagram is The Shy Love, and Facebook is Shy Love as well.
All right.
Cool. Easy, consistent. I like it. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show with us. What else do you have to tell people? If you want to write in questions, write to askwomenpodcast.com. We will try to get to your questions as soon as possible. Sorry for Jill, who didn't get her question answered, but you got this one answered, so it's even better. And we will be back next week. But you can download new episodes of our show every Thursday on podcastone.com. That's podcastone.com. And we'll see you next week.